so the translation, it's a little bit like building a house, right?
Yeah.
And you need plumbers, you need carpenters,
Yeah.
you need all these different the electrical guys. And one thing I've realized is that, and I've been very humbled, I've had to do a lot of repenting in my own heart, is that you'll get some people with a certain translation idea or philosophy and a tool, and they're the plumbers, and they're trying to build the house, and so they think that you build the whole house with plumbing, and so they don't they're not, you know, they may not necessarily see, you know, so like we've got to have a literal this here, a word-to-word correspondence here.
Yeah, which is kind of the common understanding. Right. People are like, if it's not word for word, then it's not a good translation.
Right.
Yeah.
And on the other,
it's only one aspect.
Totally. And then on the other hand, you'll have, so let's call those guys the plumbers, and then you'll have the carpenters that saying, no, if you're going to build this part of the house, you have to use this, this, and this to get it done. And so both of them are needed at different places. The challenge is identifying where are they appropriate so that the meaning is communicated.
So that the end goal,
right,
actually impacts the person to ultimately get the gospel,
right,
you know, in the word,
right. And so idioms are a good example, right?
Yeah.
Most Bible translators will realize that at least at the bare minimum, an idiom should be translated according to its meaning and not according to its individual constituents, right?
Yeah.
So like when we were overseas the first time early on, I guess it was 10 years ago now, we had a language helper. We bought him a book of English idioms, right?
Okay.
And so it was funny. The one that he really liked was "Eat Your Heart Out." You applied it to Michael Jackson. That's the point. And so, because apparently a lot of the youth were kind of emulating Michael Jackson and stuff.
Sure.
Like this is Africa, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he's like, oh yes, eat your heart out to Michael Jackson. You know.
That's
right?
awesome.
And so here's an example. You just have an idiom, right? And if I go and do a word search in the dictionary, eat, to put food in your mouth. It's a possessive adjective referring to, you know, the second person, right?
Got it.
Heart, it's a piece of flesh in your body that
causes
beats, right?
Your
out
body
means
work.
out of your body, and so you know, it's like
you're trying to piece that together. It's gonna be kind of crazy.
You're not saying I'm going to
literally
take Richee's heart and eat it, right?
Yeah.
I know it's a very overly simplistic example, but that's just one example on a microscopic level of something that happens on different layers. You can have that kind of thing happening on a smaller level of the sentence, and then it could also start happening on the discourse level.
Sure.
And so one of the things I've realized is, going back to the analogy of the car versus the truck, is that if you start putting the wrong fuel in the wrong engine, your Greek may have a certain word that accomplishes a certain function. In Greek. And the question you need to ask is, what is this signaling to somebody who speaks Greek within its own devices, because it's within its own system?
The Greek system.
The Greek system. And the question is, how do you transfer that over? What are the same devices that accomplish the same goals in English?